held this workshop. A lot of it was really heavy stuff, but as some of them also said, it
excited to share Project Creates a circumpolar resilience, engagement, and action through story. And it's the work of the Sustainable Development Working Group of the Arctic Council and also the Inuit Circumpolar Council. And we bring together youth from across the circumpolar states and invited by the permanent participant organizations of the Arctic Council. And the whole idea we realized in doing suicide prevention through the SDWG, that one of the things that was missing was community engagement and especially youth voices. And they're the ones that are the most impacted. Everyone's impacted by suicide in different Arctic contexts, but especially the youth. And they have so much knowledge and resilience and strength. And we really wanted to bring them together to talk about their own experiences through story and to share those stories with each other, and then really to use stories to take action in the Arctic Council and beyond. So to really impact suicide prevention in their own ways and to bring that knowledge forward. And they have really done that. They're just amazing. Their energy is infectious. They have so much creativity. And what we didn't anticipate doing this project, of course, we wanted to hear their perspectives, but the strength of the community that they would form through meeting with each other. There was a lot of excitement and immediate recognition. So Sami youth working with Nupiat and Inuit youth, immediate connection and shared stories and experiences.
Always when we talk about suicide, it's about youth, but we're not necessarily including youth in the discussion. So having a workshop like this really gives the youth a voice, and they're so strong and they're so powerful and they're generous in sharing their stories. So for them to do stories that we can share with other youth is so important for us to just remember that this is actually youth that we're talking about.
I think a lot of the young people, they went through some healing this weekend. We held this workshop. A lot of it was really heavy stuff, but as some of them also said, it gave a lot of hope. There is always hope, and even though we they've been crying, we've been crying. There is still smiles behind the tears, you know.
My film that I created is called Skoden, Not Worried. I think it was the three guys walking side to side. And just looking at that video right there, you know, to me, it looked like they were confident. You know, they know what they were doing. They weren't worried. So the title of the rap is called Alaskan Grown. And actually, the first lyrics are, it's in my native language. It's in Yupik. The first lyrics are, Dana Yokako Ganadam Konkuda, Nashuda, Nashukut, Gamagalis Giganada, Payalis Gigadukut. And so what it's talking about is, let me just tell you a story right here. I was actually hanging out with an elder back home, and he was looking out the window, and he said something to me that, you know, changed a little bit of the thinking process that I had. He said, you know, these older people back home, they encourage you so much to do things that their ancestors did, but the way that our ancestors learned was to watch, you know, the people before them. And if you guys don't have anyone to watch, then how are you going to learn? And so it's kind of like calling them out, but you know, it's for the safety of our, you know, the way of life. They need to realize that if they want us to learn these things, they're going to actually be the ones to have to teach us. You can't just tell someone to learn how to do this without showing them how to do it. With the things that I've learned, I wish to put it into a song where everyone could listen to, you know, everyone could enjoy. And while they're enjoying it, they're also learning something new. They're learning it's do's and don'ts of life, as what we would call it.
In addition to creating stories at the close of each workshop, because the workshop itself is just as important as the stories. You really see the youth come together, share, and create a very special shared space. So we always leave time at the end of each workshop to hear back from them about what their experiences of the workshop itself have been. And youth have been extremely positive about it. It's really helped them to feel you know, like they can take action and that their ideas are valued and meaningful, and also that they have a safe place themselves to talk about some experiences that have been very challenging and painful, even while they make meaning out of those experiences and get to tell their story and create something very, you know, strong and resilient from difficult experience.
They prompted a question to us, and it was about living or dying. And I guess I chose living in sort of two worlds, in a modern and a traditional world. And then Nicholas asked if I wanted to work with him. So we talked about sort of the idea of living in two worlds, and the story kind of was, our story kind of like really fit together, like the experience and...
Yeah, because not all Indigenous people feel like a part of their community. And when you don't have your community, you still have the modern society, but you're still not a part of it because you're an Indigenous person.
What is missing?
It feels like a piece is missing in my Swedish identity, in my Sami identity,
In my Canadian identity, in my Inuvialuq identity.
two worlds, two standards, separated but connected.
We are creating a project website, and that will allow the stories to be shared you know, to a much wider community, and to hopefully grow that community, and then to actually take action by getting some of the youth ideas and putting them into action through policy and enacting some of their ideas for suicide prevention.
Even though we have the highest rate of suicide per capita, we are still here trying to change the narrative. Even though our Indigenous sisters are missing and murdered and seemingly no one is fighting on their behalf, we are still here seeking justice. Even though our languages are dying, we are still here to speak and be heard. Even though we, as youth, feel ashamed of our ignorance, we are still here to learn.
Ringon naritakisu Kikutamasa isakti sinasui Tekularia sariki Timini soreso Martinez Kisi sinanity Namina Inu Rimaki Good morning, Gwich'in. I hope everyone is doing well. Uvlami. My name is Alyssa Carpenter. I am calling remotely from Whitehorse on the traditional territory of Kwanlin-Dun and Tahan First Nation. I just wanted to welcome everybody to come. We're so excited to host this event in collaboration with the Gwich'in Council International. I'm the current project director of the Western Arctic Youth Collective, and I'm just going to name some of the people who are in the room supporting us today as we watch some of these films, and then as we have youth on the panel. We have Holly Jones, who's the research and capacity building researcher capacity coordinator. We've got Jacey Firth-Hagen as our project coordinator, and then we got Bobby Rose Cooey, who is our outreach coordinator. It took a lot of work to make this happen, and I'm so grateful for them being part of this team because none of this could have happened without them. So I'm encouraging you all to ask questions after we watch these next few films to these young people. And the format, because of COVID, is we have someone who, if you can let them know the question, just because we can't pass around mics to individuals, please do that. And we will get to as many questions as we can. And we're also inviting folks who are joining us remotely on Zoom to ask questions too. So thank you all for making time of your day to be here and to listen to these young people because their perspectives are very important. And if you are interested, we also have Safe Talk Workshop. It's a suicide alert program happening from 1 to 4 today in the community hall. We have IRC that is facilitating that. It's a very great workshop for a range of people just to learn what to look for and be mindful of and to connect people who are having thoughts of suicides to a keep safe connection in our communities, whether that's a counselor, someone who is assist trained, or an elder or someone who is just known to increase safety. And then this evening, depending weather, of course, we have a fire that is going to be set out at Aurora College, and we're going to have hot chocolate, takeaway s'mores. Please come out and say hi. I hope weather improves. I was told it was windy, but yeah, enjoy it. Any questions, please let us know. And we also have a feedback form online. It'll be posted on our Facebook. So enjoy the films. Thank you so much for joining us again. Kuyanani Masicho.
fairies. On the opposite side of us, Royal Mountain sits royal. My Gigi once told me, look at that mountain for me, 'cause lots of our people seen it. I closed my eyes and visualized tents, laughter, drumming, and kids playing. Tsutsu Bertha told me before I left home, she was born around here, over there. That means it wasn't too long ago my people lived here. I wonder why they left. I sit back on the blanket of moss, relax, sipping tea, the life. As I glaze across the contrast, the life. The youth break the silence with stories of their grandparents. They giggle as they take turns. I'm happy they're happy. I'm happy, but I feel sadness. My ancestors, I feel them behind me, hold me. I don't want to leave tomorrow. This is where my Idri is. I feel at home. Tomorrow, I look back again with tears in my eyes and say I'll come back. Because my people never did say goodbye. One of the youth looked at me, smiling, and she asked, what are you thinking about? I tell her softly, one day our people will return.
Gwich'in duck, Gwich'in duck, show eathly, hi, hi, masicho, shi'idri, show neatly, Gwich'in daikwa, Gwich'in dai. We are the caribou people. My heart is half a caribou. Since time immemorial, we have followed the caribou, depending on it for survival, our clothing, our food, our shelter. My heart is half a caribou because I could not exist without the caribou, and the caribou could not exist without me. I wanted to tell a story about the stigma around mental health, how we don't talk about it, the silence. I wanted to talk about social issues, alcoholism, suicide, substance abuse, but instead, I will tell another story. A story of my juju. My grandma Hagen was a Indian residential school survivor, although I don't know what she went through, if it was good or bad. She lost her first child to influenza. Being in the bush, there were no doctors or healthcare professionals around. She raised 10 children as a single mother and stopped them from going to Indian residential schools. She didn't trust them no matter how many times they knocked on her door, saying they will help her feed, clothe, and keep her children warm. Of all that my grandmother has survived and what she would say and how she got through it, I believe that she would say love helped her survive. The love of her children, the love of her family, and the love of her grandchildren to be. This is my grandmother's legacy of what she's given me throughout intergenerational trauma. I'm able to stand here today and be a strong Indigenous Gwich'in woman.
So I learned a lot in class, in Winukdun class, but the classroom setting wasn't helping me. It wasn't helping me stay fluent. It wasn't working. So like obviously I'm not speaking it now. So it all depends on like how it's being taught. I think we just need a better setting and someone really dedicated. I wish I learned it more in my home life rather than the school setting, because if I had both, I'd honestly be more fluent by now. Seeing that how we're losing our language and really like encouraged me to really just take it and learn it myself, like just not wait for school and not wait for someone to come in and teach me. I'll just look for it. I also I'm just naturally just interested in learning another language. I like the fact that other than North America, other people know like 5 languages and we don't. Like I don't even know one. I barely know my native one. I think it's given me more meaning on what I want to do with like my career and what I want to do with my life. It gives me, I guess it just gives me a reason. Just knowing I'm helping something, helping a whole community, a society, that I'm not doing a favor, I'm doing it also for myself and for the future generations. And just bringing more pride in our culture, because language is a really big part of culture. When you revive a whole language, you revive more of the culture, right? Yeah, that's what it is. It gives me more meaning to life. But the language, it's very connected to the land. It's very connected to describing landscape, because we're very much nomadic people. We're always on the land, so it makes me realize how much time you have to dedicate to one. You can't learn a language just like that, so it made me realize I have to be more patient and more committed and dedicated if I really want to go through with this. So yeah, that's what I really learned about myself. So it makes you really work on yourself as a person. Makes you speak more mindful because like as you're learning, you're not fluent, so obviously you're going to be more mindful of how you're going to say things and how to pronounce things. So it makes you more mindful, patient, and it really makes you more dedicated and things you really want to enjoy doing. I'd really like to thank anyone that really comes up and encourage me to say something right, and especially whoever I ask, like, how do you say this? I really thank them for not, dismissing me, and just they're really encouraging and making sure I say things right, especially like whoever I grew up with. Like I grew up with my grandmother, and she spoke really good English, but she also spoke really good in Winnipeg. So I'm really thankful that she spoke that around me, and also like my aunts and uncles. Even if they're just joking, I'm just glad to hear it. I'm really thankful for elders that are still speaking it, almost barely even speaking English. So thankful that they're still around, and I hope I can take advantage of them still being there, helping me learning this for real. Wait, can I?
Hi everyone, I'm Topsy Banksland and I'm from Ulukhakto. So today I'm just going to be talking about my digital story that I created at the Project Creates workshop about 2 years ago now. So my digital story, I spoke about finding my language. So I talked about my experience with my language and what it means to me. So just to elaborate more on that, I am passionate about my language. I study linguistics and I hope to study my language more. And I think culture is very much tied to your sense of identity. I think having a strong sense of identity helps with your self-esteem and boosts your confidence. For example, I'm a university student, I'm away from home, and I'm not surrounded by my culture. So with the aspect of language, I kind of study it. It kind of grounds me in case or whenever I feel a bit lost or homesick. I think knowing that encourages my mental wellness. And therefore as a form of suicide prevention. So with that, I think my key message would be, finding your passion. Don't be afraid to find it. And I think that would be my encouragement for all youth today, to look for your passion. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the events. Thank you.
Should I start? Yeah, go for it. I'm just gonna talk, I guess. Van Gwinzi, hope everyone can hear me okay. Bloomy, good morning. She, Jacey, Anubik Inhli, Gwich'in Shigonli, Hi Shidri Shonihli. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacey Firth-Hagen. I'm born, raised, and currently residing back in Anubik. Just moved back after 9.5 years. I'm a proud Gwich'in woman, and I'm the project coordinator for the Western Arctic Youth Collective. And I helped start it up about 2 years ago now. And we're a new nonprofit supporting Gwich'in and Inuvialuit youth in the Western Arctic region. I'm also the creator of the Gwich'in Language Revival Campaign, #SpeakGwich'in and a lot more. Masti Cho, I'll pass it off to Mataya.
Hi, I don't got a killer introduction like her, but I'm Mataya Gillis. I was born and raised in Inuvik. I'm Inuvialuit, and I'm 17. I'm just finishing up my last year of high school, and I am the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Nipituruk magazine. Nipituruk is a Inuvialuit youth magazine that it's a platform for Inuvialuit youth voices. As youth, we've seen a lot that our voices are either overlooked or unheard, and we needed a change. So we created Nipituruk to be that change for our youth. And we hope that our goal is to become a sustainable magazine. So one day I could look back with my kids and be like, yeah, I was part of that. Thank you for having me.
Okay. My name is Lexis. Hold on. Okay. I'm 18. I was raised here in Inuvik and I was born here. Okay, sorry. Born and raised here in Inuvik, I'm 18, and I'm Inuvialuit, and I'm the current illustrator for the Nipituruk magazine. I don't know, you really explained the magazine well. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Well, maybe in that case, we'll start into some questions, and I'm sure it'll prompt a lot of answers from you. So we have our question board over at the side here, and we've just asked everybody today if they could put some notes on a sticky, and we're going to ask these types of questions to youth. And before we start into this, I'm just going to invite Charla Greenland to come up here and say a couple words on behalf of GCI, if that's okay.
Good morning, everyone. It's just a real pleasure to be back and amongst these beautiful youth that we have here. Thank you all for coming out and making the time to be here to hear just such an important perspective. And when we talk about mental health, we know, from leadership, from just the professional world, we do our best to support our youth. But we know we have a long ways to go yet. And hearing your voices today and the amazing, I'm just so very proud of everybody up here. I really mean that. And I just thank you for sharing your perspective with us today. So Masicho Kuyanani, and yeah, I just want to give them a warm welcome.
Sure. Do you guys want to take your mask off to speak into the mic?
And I don't know if Lexi's mic is back.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So we're going to have some questions come in from the chat, because this is obviously part of a Zoom call, but we've also got, these great questions that you have all contributed today. So I'm just going to read some of these through and they can spur discussion, and feel free if you have a question from our crew here today, just put your hand up and we'll make sure everybody can hear you online and that your question gets typed in as well for records. Okay, so I think this is a really good one to start off with. What barriers do you three face as youth to taking action on mental health and wellness?
So I guess I talk about this a lot, but like I said, I've noticed as youth, we tend to be overlooked quite a bit and unheard. It doesn't help that we're Indigenous youth. That's another factor of being overheard and unlooked, and being a girl doesn't help. But I also noticed that I'm under 18, and a lot of youth opportunities these days, it's 18 to 30. But like even with like this kind of stuff, like it's 18 to 30, but they allow me to come. But it's kind of hard to apply for things when I'm under 18 and still hope to get that chance. So I hope that there's a lot more chances for the younger generation, because I know when I was 13, I want to be a part of these things, and just opening up stuff like that for younger generations.
I think another barrier is being so isolated up in the north. It's just so expensive to get out of town. It's just so expensive to get out of town, and I just feel so isolated up in the north. Such a big barrier.
And I could talk from a whole other perspective. I'm a little bit older. Yeah, it was like very interesting. I forgot to mention that I'm an alumni of the Project Creates program, if no one recognized my video. And when I was asked to do that, as I was a youth representative for Gwich'in Council International. It's a project creating visual storytelling on mental health, life promotion, personal wellness. And I was actually really scared to get involved, even though I wanted to, because I feel like mental health is such an important issue, and it's something that I've struggled with for more than half my life for sure. And then growing up in Inuvik, when they were very young, it was a lot more stigmatized. Like I was scared to go see the school counselor, and then I was even scared to talk about what I was going through with my peers, my family. And then now that I'm in my late 20s, like I'm starting to talk about it a little bit more, but once again, there's barriers. I'm like, am I going to get stigmatized, judged? What resources are out there for me? I ask my peers, my community members, my family, like, what is it like seeing counselors in Inuvik? What have been your experiences in like the residential school survivors counseling program, and how do I apply to that? And for example, I hear things like it's hard to talk to counselors in Inuvik when it's remote, and it's just talking to different people over and over, basically re-traumatizing themselves, sharing their stories. And then in the residential school survivors and families counseling program, I heard it's easy to get into, it's hard to get into. I was told I have to provide information on my family's residential school history, and that's like going to my family and asking community members what that history is, because it can be hard to get. And then the past year or so, I've been trying to get more counseling for myself. I mostly access school in my post-secondary education. And I was like, okay, and I was in Edmonton, and I was looking for counselors that have, that specialize in working in Indigenous peoples and trauma. And that was hard. I was basically kept hitting walls. And I kept talking to counselors. I didn't really understand what I was even talking about. And then when I shared I may have a history of like mental health and addictions, like all they told me to do is go to rehab. So there's like so many walls and barriers to seeking help and counseling. And I can see it getting better now, and I'm really looking forward to it getting better along the way. And we already know in the Northwest Territories, Northern Territories and Arctic, etc. In Canada, mental health, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. It's kind of long-winded,
I think that was a really important kind of lead into the next question, because you all talked about ideas of personal barriers. So what do you think are the biggest barriers facing your community? If you could summarize those.
That was a big question. Give us a minute or so.
Like barriers, like just barriers in general.
Yeah, maybe from like a youth perspective.
I could talk a little bit. So yeah, I just got back to Inuvik, so I'm not 100% sure of all the barriers that exist in place. But yeah, even just stepping up and talking about like, I need help, like I'm not feeling too good today, or sorry, I can't help out today. Even just, yeah, asking for help is such a big thing. Yesterday, one thing that was brought up or the other day, something I was listening to, it was asking for help is strength. And for myself growing up, and probably a lot of people, like being basically told not to show emotions, not to ask out for help, not to share that you may have problems with your mental health, it was like a big no. And yeah, it's so important to ask for help, to recognize when you need to take a step back, if you're overwhelmed, to learn your triggers. Like, as an example, being a post-secondary student, it was really hard being away from home, dealing with school stress, dealing with stuff in my family when I'm so far away. And then I realized that stress is a big trigger for if I have like negative thoughts. And even knowing how and when to assert boundaries. Like one thing I've been thinking about for a long time is like lateral violence in our communities, and even knowing when to set boundaries if you're ever in that situation. We'll see.
I was thinking, and I liked how Lexis said isolation, and I feel like that's a big barrier for our community. Isolation to resources, like mental health resources. Like we could talk about food security. Like there's so many different like problems like in our community that's due to isolation, and yeah, I lost my train of thought. But yes. I feel yours. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll pass, because that was pretty much my answer.
So I'll give, there's just one more, and then we'll sort of hand off the mic, because we've got a couple representatives from different leadership organizations and local governments. And I think it would be really great if they got to ask their questions and sort of everybody was able to see that. So I'll just ask you one little tidbit more before we head into that. What do you think that the community can do better? What are the solutions that you see to some of the issues that you've identified?
I think more support. We have programs in Inuvik for like mental health support and stuff, but obviously if we're still asking for help, they're not working. And why are we keeping these programs that aren't working? Why don't we figure out new ways to support these people who need help in the ways that they need the help? Like personally, like counseling, I can't sit in a chair and like just tell people how I feel. It's too awkward for me. I'm too shy. But there's so many different ways to heal. And I just feel like we need to have these resources for every type of healing. Like if someone needs to heal through their culture, we need to have those resources there for that person. And it blows my mind that we have systems that aren't working in Inuvik and they're still sitting here to this day. And there's no change happening. Well, there is change, obviously. We're having this great little panel. But yeah.
Yeah, one thing that came to my mind, great answer, Mataya, is Western Arctic Youth Collective. working with youth. Yeah, our demographic is 18 to 35. There's also ADA, the Arctic Youth Development Agency, which has a younger demographic, I believe like 13 to 18-ish. Not 100% sure. And then both really amazing organizations working with youth, including personal wellness. And then one thing for WAYC is the past 2 years we've been working with youth. 2 years ago we were at Midway, where it kind of all started. We had a Midway gathering and we've been running programming. We ran 2 on-the-land camps in the past like 2 to 3 weeks with youth. And we're running this, and then we're going to be at Ranger Station in a couple of weeks, meeting with the youth from the Gwich'in, Inuvialuit, and Sawtoo youth groups and others, supporting youth groups and initiatives in the Western Arctic, and also a little bit in the Sawtoo. And then what youth are saying is that they want on-the-land opportunities to learn their language, their culture, and even just creating these spaces where youth from all of the youth demographics from like 12 to 35, etc., even opening up a space to talk about mental health and what we see and what we need. And the Gwich'in doing like on-the-land healing camp soon. And then I believe the Inuvialuit is doing one or just finished doing a healing camp at Ranger Station. It's like super amazing.
Sorry, they're doing it now.
They're doing it right now. I see Leslie, and listening to community members. What do youth need? What do people need? If people aren't comfortable sitting in an office talking to different counselors, like, do they want to enter a family program on the land? Do they want to go down south and go to a family treatment program? They don't want to leave their families, or they want to take their family. And as for me, like, I'm finding on the land really healing. I spent 2 weekends on the land recently. Going to be spending more time on the land soon, and really grateful for those opportunities. Let's see.
I really liked how you said asking youth what they need. I find that a lot of the time they don't ask what we need, they make decisions for us. And I just don't understand that, because how do you know what we need? You're not asking us, we don't get any input in it. Yeah, I just want to add that. I really like that.
I think another good solution would, I have to check. Being able to just connect with each other as a community, to be able to sit together and bond together, whether that be just gatherings or just enjoying time with your family or your friends. Being able to sit there with each other and listen to each other and just create a better, stronger bond with each other would be a good solution, because these kind of changes is going to take time. So I guess while we're waiting for programs to be set up, it is just yes, there you go, solution that would work.
So maybe we'll open the floor now, and if you do have a question to ask, if you could kind of come up here, maybe we'll set up a chair so you can have a conversation, and everybody is able to see and hear. Is that okay?
Maybe take a picture of this and ask.
I've got a photo. No? Are there any questions coming from mine first? Or yeah, go for it. Come on up to Steve. Thank you. I'm not for sure, but this will pick up sound.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Good morning. Gwich'in, everyone. My name is Christine McLeod, the GPC Deputy Grand Chief. And I'd just like to say I'm really proud of the 3 of you today. It's powerful to hear your messages, and I really appreciate this panel. And thank you for having myself and Grand Chief Smith here with you today. Mataya mentioned that we don't ask, leadership doesn't ask, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. And Jacey mentioned, and I'll just back it up here, Jacey needs to stop saying how old she is, because that makes me feel really old. Jacey did mention on the land programming. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the GTC, your current leadership is committed to the revitalization of the Gwich'in camp, about 15 kilometers up the river from Inuvik. So that's something that we're looking at long term. But what I want to ask you ladies today is if we have COVID funding, mental wellness funding to give to support the youth, what kind of programs and services do you want to see in the immediate future? Masicho.
I've been thinking about this a lot. So like me and Lexis just got our Inuit tattoos done recently, and when I got them done, it was like a change for me. It just felt different. I felt like I grew a little bit. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who might need that connection to their culture again. And I've been looking into or hoping to do a program with the Inuit tattoo artists here, and trying to do a little program to teach about the tattoos, and then get people who wouldn't be able to afford, because it is expensive and I had to save quite a while for them, and trying to connect them back to their culture by bringing elders in and learning about our cultures through tattoos, and then getting them done, and then having that power back with our youth. It's not on the land, but we could do it in a wall tent outside to make it a little bit on the land, but that's just something I've been thinking about.
Thank you. No, that's a really good answer. Thank you.
And we've also been our team has been talking about wanting to do a leadership camp like the one that's coming up soon, and bring youth out on the land and, like I said, ask them what they need in our community, and take that information and try to get those resources for youth by talking to our leaders in our community. And I feel like going out on the land and sitting in front of a fire with a cup of tea, people open up pretty good out there, and you get a lot of information from people when they're comfortable, and a lot of people seem to be comfortable on the land. So we were hoping to do something like that, but like I said, under 18, so it's kind of hard to do these things.
I think kind of any program that doesn't have to revolve around the school, because I know I often see programs that happen a lot in the school, and being in the school and trying to open up is just not comfortable at all. It's just because when you go to the school, you have all these expectations of schedules and just consistent working, and it isn't the right place to open up and try and just open up with your feelings. It's just doesn't feel like the right place.
Thank you.
That's a really good question. Thank you. One thing I've been thinking about, this is where my brain is, so it's going to keep going back to WAYC stuff. We did a youth trapping camp in Aklavik about 2-3 weeks ago, and then it was really fun. The youth, half of them were age 14, the other half were around 21. And then the younger youth, we asked them what they want in their communities, and some of them were like, oh, Tim Hortons. Some of them were like, we want to learn traditional tattooing. We want to have a gathering with elders on the land. We want to have a language gathering on the land, cultural gathering. We want to have a women and girls hunting trip on the land. And then about a week or so ago, we had a language camp at Gwich'in Campground. And another youth said, imagine if we were out here for 2, 3, 4 days, just speaking Gwich'in and Inuvialuktun, and how much we'd learn. And then everyone wanted the programming to be longer. Unfortunately, with COVID, it's a lot more difficult to have longer on the land programming and to stay out there. And then I was even just thinking, what if we had a couple-day youth retreat with the youth elders, maybe community members, where we just learned the language, had language games, had elders bringing cultural teachings, even talking about tattooing and other things that youth want to learn, show us how to make snares, and maybe we'll try trap or snare something out there. It's like really just being out on the land with each other, learning, talking about mental health, sharing language, learning culture. It'll be such a beautiful space for a couple of days.
Thank you, Jacey. I don't want to hog up all the time, but I do have one more question. I'm looking around the room and I see really great representation from youth. And it's good to see you all out here, but I'm wondering how we can do better at engaging the male population to be more involved in youth activities. Masisho. Sorry?
What was the male?
How we can do better at engaging the male population.
Okay.
Jacey, do you want to just repeat the question?
Really good question, Christine. How do we do better to engage the male population, which is something that I was also thinking about. It's okay if I go first. Yeah, because in a lot of our programming, it's mostly women, and then I find like that could also be a shift from a space that's really been dominated by men and males for a long time. And then it's how do we get interested men in these spaces? And then I think it's important to have like a mixed programming of, I don't really want to use gender terms, but more male passing and female passing. I think it's, and especially in a Klavic worker there said that they're looking to hold all men and boys retreat, which I think is really amazing. And to have more programs, I guess, even with young men and males, opening up spaces to like talk about emotions and feelings. And then I really love the program, I don't know if it's still on, like Take a Youth Out Trapping, things like that, but I'm not 100% sure what's working out there, but so important.
Yeah, I think that you kind of have to start young when you do this, because there's so much stigma out there about men opening up or men feeling anything really. And like I still see it on Instagram today, and it's like crazy. It's like it's 2021, guys. Hurry up and get with the program. But like I don't like I guess going. I don't like saying this, but going into the schools, because that's where our youth are. Like we're there every single day, and getting like having programs there to show that it's okay to feel, it's okay to be interested in things like this. Like you said, like it's a lot of like women out here. We see a lot of like what did you say, gender pass or women identifying people out here, and I would love to see more male people. I don't know how to say this. I'm trying to say it politely. Yes, male passing people. I think I said that right. But yeah, like I think that they bring a different voice to the table too, because they have different experiences. Like I could talk about my feelings, and there's a little bit of stigma around that, but for them it's a whole different story, and we don't get to hear that a lot because no one wants to talk about that. It's a lot. It takes a lot of power to do that. But I think by going into the schools or just going into these youth programs, the youth centers, and talking to these boys and being like, you can talk about this. You could have interests that aren't like male dominated. Like you could go like figure skating, which is a very female dominated sport. Well, I think at least in Inuvik, I always noticed it was mostly girls. I just think that it has to start young, because that's where we're learning. Like I'm still learning. I feel like I'm lucky enough to get a bunch of different views and get to learn a lot. But there's youth out there who only see Instagram and see these posts on Instagram saying, no, you can't do this. Boys can't do this. Boys can't do that. And we need to have these resources saying that you can do what you want. No one cares. Well, people care, but you shouldn't care if they care. Yeah.
I think starting out young, and I remember during the Foxy program at school, since it was sexual health, it was separated into like just girls and boys, and I think just having more like male passing, like just like a, what is it called? Like I guess so, yeah, just like boy groups or something, just programs specified for the boys. I think, sorry, I already got lost.
I like how you said like boy programs or programs specifically for boys, because I find that they tend to open up a little bit more when there's not girls around.
Yeah,
and
that's what I noticed too with like the Foxy programs, how, and especially since it's sexual health and we're all just teenagers, it gets very uncomfortable, but they seem much more comfortable when it's just them, like just males or men to choose. I don't, am I explaining this? Okay. Okay.
Thank you. I also just wanted to add quickly, Foxy has a male program called Smash now.
Okay, it's
yeah,
Smash,
really supporting existing initiatives as well, such as Smash and Foxy. I believe that there's probably a partnership with the school, and maybe GTC and IRC, etc., could work with them as well to create more opportunities.
I've noticed since COVID, they're not really allowed to go to schools. Like I think that this year they're not coming to our school because of COVID. If GTC or IRC could create a space for them to hold something, like Foxy is an amazing program, and like I don't remember the last time I had a sex ed class in school besides Foxy, and I think these programs are really needed in our community. So if you guys are able to make space or create times or work with them, even to get a Zoom call or like a 3-day Zoom call with them, and find youth who need this right now, that's something we need in our community again.
Good morning, awesome panel, everyone. I had a couple questions just to touch on a couple of things that we've already talked about, going back to how to engage better. Mataya is, we'll call her an alumni of Town Council in Inuvik. She was our student rep for a year last year. And I know I will 100% acknowledge that it is not a well-rounded position. It's a tough one. We don't know how to engage better or how to engage well. She kind of gets to sit at the meetings and listen, but there's not a lot of interaction. So I guess specifically to Mataya, how could you see roles like that being better, like where a student representative is better used? But then to all of you, going back to the question or the comment of that we don't engage well with you, how can we do better at all levels of government and or in all areas, I guess?
For the town council thing, I think that it's when I was there, I found it a little bit intimidating. Like I've been going to meetings for town council with my mom since I was 12. So I was kind of used to the space, and like I was able to talk to a few people. I was too scared to put my mic on, but I think that having like asking us questions, like you asked me a few questions and I was able to answer them, but a lot of the time, like I heard a lot of your guys' opinions, and I feel like you could have been like, Mataya, how do you feel about this? Or like, what's your point of view of being a youth with this thing? I remember some of the issues were going on in town, and I remember having a lot of feelings about them, but I was just too nervous, like put myself out there to say them. And I'm not really a shy person. I'm a little bit shy, but I'm not too afraid to talk, but I just, that room is kind of scary. It's just how we're sitting and everyone's kind of looking at you when you talk. But yeah, asking the questions, and sitting there and actually listening to them, and trying to obviously if the answer was something crazy and didn't make sense, but just accept it or something. But if you could listen to us, then actually take our opinion or answer and be like, okay, maybe this is the solution. Maybe we could try this out, because then I feel like I'm being heard then. And then for how do we engage youth? I think programs like this are really good. I'm kind of like, we try not to have them during school days. Like I was lucky I don't have a block this or class this block, but having programs like this, or even like having a fire pit in Jim Couey Park and offering snacks to youth. Food makes kids come. So, you know, order a few pizzas from the roost, be like, there's food, come talk to us. Like, come talk to your counselors on your community, like on your town counselors, and we'll just have a discussion. It doesn't, like, you don't have to have it like specifically for anything, but having these spaces for us to have our voices heard is like really important, because otherwise I'm not gonna go walk up to a town counselor and be like, this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous, but to create a space and like have it like a safe space and like no judgment and like people are actually listening to us, I feel like that works. And like I said, food, it always works.
I think to be able to keep it consistent is how we used to have like a student council at the school. I remember always wanting to join it, but at the time I felt like I was too young. I was like grade 8 or 7 or something. But yeah, I think to help keep it consistent is to have something like the student council, and I think having a group of youth would help too, because it's always much more comfortable when there's people our age there with us, because I wouldn't be able to be here without Mataya. It's, yeah.
Also, I just thinking about this. Oh my gosh, of course I lost my train of thought. It's late, it'll come back to me.
A really good question. It reminded me, again, I forgot to say this in my last answer. When we were planning Midway 2 years ago, we wanted to hold a big square dance and jigging and Inuvik, but it was just too tough time condensing the program we were already doing. So we wanted to bring it back to our roots, jigging, square dancing till like 2 a.m. And then we were even thinking about setting up canvas tents. And I was thinking, I don't know, where would we even set those up? I guess like maybe Jim Couey Park. Not 100% sure what's the whole plans for that, but beautiful gathering space. Of course, it's harder to do in winter. And then, yeah, even a program we're talking about running is like in-town high tanning, like in Yellowknife, they do urban high tanning, right in the middle of town. They work on moose hides. Doing something like that in Inuvik, like maybe at the river. And yeah, just opening up spaces like that for sure. Really beautiful answer, Mataya. And I even remember the counselors that came to school when I was in SAMS. I remember Alfred Moses was working with the school, then he became an MLA, and I think maybe Robert McLeod came into the school. So of course there's always a school route. Kind of, yeah, I guess maybe asking youth what they want, talking about their position, but we're kind of steering away from going to the schools right now, but yeah, reuniting.
Okay, I got what I was thinking back. With these kind of programs, let us lead them. I found with, like when I was on student council, we led them, but not really. Like we were pushed towards what they wanted us to do. Let us lead. Like if we're here, we want to lead, we want to do this, and we're prepared to. Be there as support for us and not as the leader is a big thing, because I feel like it also allows a lot of people to grow, which is really good.
Thank you.
Have a drink. Take a rest. All right.
Well, I just wanted to say Gwich'in, everybody. My name is Kenny Smith. I'm the Grand Chief of the Gwich'in Tribal Council, and I've been sitting here just absolutely floored with what I'm hearing, and I just want to share that with everybody. Before this, we've seen a video, and probably Rose was floored with your video. how you spoke about the GA. My Adri is happy seeing that today. Jacey, talking about your Juju, Margaret, my Adri is happy seeing that today. And the others that presented their videos, I don't know them individually, but again, to see our young people talking with pride about who they are, where they're from, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And I just want to thank you for that experience today. Because this today is my most important meeting that I have this week. I just want you to know that. And so I just wanted to say those comments. I do have some questions for the panel. But the one thing I'm saying, and I'm not sure if others have noticed, is how you're all supporting one another. You know, how you're talking to one another and asking questions and trying to get your words out, because getting your voice out is very difficult. I know as a young man, I found my voice with the Caribou Lobby. That's how I found my voice. I remember speaking at an assembly here and I couldn't even get the words out. I knew what I wanted to say, but when I seen those 100 faces looking right at me, I just froze. And there's nothing wrong with that. Public speaking is a tough thing to do. And you should have concerns. You should have a bit of something holding you back when you're speaking in public, because that keeps you in check, that keeps you humble, keeps you responsible. We've all seen far too many global leaders who are far too comfortable on the microphone, and we know what that can do, right? And so I'll tell you that, keep it up, keep finding your voice, because we're starving to hear what you have to say. So all those that are here, all of those on the line. And with that, I'd like to ask the panel, one thing is that I don't want to sound too much like a leader, but the one thing I've learned in my career is to really focus your efforts. We might find 100 things that Inuvik or this region needs, but what are the top 2 or 3 things that we really need to focus on? And focus on those 2 or 3 things, and once you get them done, focus on the next 2 or 3 things. Then that way we're able to make progress over time, right? And so to that end, what do you think are the 2 to 3 opportunities for leadership, whether you're Gwich'in, Inuvialuit, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, that we need to focus on to have and place a better future for our young people like yourself?
Question. Yeah. I think one of the most important things to battle and right now is the substance abuse in town. I feel like that should be like the #1 priority right now, because we can't move on if we don't just take care of the problem right now. I don't know if I'm wording that right, but I think substance abuse is just an incredibly important priority right now in town.
When I think about it, I think mental health is one, because that ties in with substance abuse. It's always been a big thing in the North, but we're starting to talk about it a lot more, and a lot more is changing, and it's amazing. Like, I'm very thankful I could talk about getting counseling, and I feel comfortable when you're talking about saying like you weren't comfortable talking about counseling. And like, I actually thought of something on Instagram. You walk so I could run. I thought about that. But I think the next thing for me is the youth, and giving them those supports. Like, we get a lot of supports from, like, as a magazine, we get a lot of support from ICS and Jason. He supports us, and we have a lot of community support. Gonna kind of call it IRC. I don't get a lot of, we get praise from IRC, but I've never really gotten anything from IRC, and I find that really sad, because we are an Inuvialuit youth magazine, and we are like creating this change, and I find it sad that we're not getting the support. So kind of called them out there, but needed to be done. So it's not like I'm asking for money from them. It's giving us resources, giving us spaces to meet, sharing our content on Facebook. Like, it's simple, it's easy. I'm not gonna ask for money, because it sounds dumb, but I think we're good right now. We have enough to maintain ourselves for a year, and we get support from CRE. Like, CRE is a big supporter of ours, but the youth, and creating these supports for them, because like even creating this amazing project, it's really hard to find support. There's a lot of people out there, but it's a lot of work for us to go reach out to that support. So you guys need to start reaching out to us and saying like, we're here, start this project, we'll give you money. Like, you want to do this? Here's all the resources you need. Because a lot of youth have a lot of great ideas and they want to do these projects, but it's really hard to take that first step and do these projects. And you guys have a lot of knowledge, and we can learn a lot from our leaders in our community. It's unless we take the first step, and you guys need to start taking the first step for youth. It's really hard, but it's something that need to be said.
It's a really big question, and my brain is kind of going everywhere. The first thing that came into my head was, I'd help with addictions, mental health. It's really hard to hear from like politicians in Yellowknife that they don't feel that there's an addictions problem or it hasn't gotten any worse with COVID. And then I like look around my community, my family, myself, I'm like, okay, so we don't need help kind of thing. I know that there's been so many barriers to mental health resources and addictions facilities in the Northwest Territories, the Western Arctic. And I'm like, okay, why? And then it's like, oh yeah, economic development, but how long has like economic development and addictions and mental health been talked about in our region? And once again, I'm not like a leader. I don't know all the background and how it all works. And then I'm thinking about, okay, 3 priorities. I'm thinking, okay, language. I also do work with advocating for language. I'm like, okay, so when is language going to be a priority? And then culture. And if we're just moving towards the same 3 things, when do we get to the other things? And when is that going to be done? And it can't all start at the same, like, it's not all going to be solved in a year. It does take a long time. That was a really good point, Lexis. So my 3 points, I'm going to say, number 1, addictions, number 2, mental health, and number 3, like supporting community members, keeping membership and community members informed. If it's either through social media or setting up spaces that are inclusive teams where they feel comfortable and talking to community members. I know our leaders are supposed to take membership concerns and then present them on a leadership table. But once again, I'm spiraling back to like mental health and addictions not being tabled. It's just like, it's all a big question, and I'm always wondering like why and learning more.
I like how you said that like after these 3, like we go on to the next, but I think like programs like ADA and this one, I can't remember the acronym. And I think these are really important programs in the community, because we could be working on 3, they could be working on 3, they could be working on 3, and that's 9 problems being fixed in our community. And like, let's say we have 3 more groups in Inuvik, that's another 9 problems that could be fixed in our community and that could be targeted in our community. And like I said, we need that support in our community to create these programs, and we need that help. This is me asking for it, so come help.
I totally, the 3 of you, and you hit the nail on the head with getting more groups out there, focusing on it. Because without people working with these issues, it's not going to be up to 1 or 2 people. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about working with our people, both young and old, to find out what the solutions are. So I commend each of you and everybody involved with these organizations in doing that. So thank you for your time today, and I really appreciate this time with each of you.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Gillis. I work for Municipal and Community Affairs out of Yellowknife. I'm here on behalf of the minister who's in session currently. My question is, how you all 3 are very motivated, obviously. How do we get other youth motivated to be included in discussions like this so that we don't face burnout with youth that are constantly putting up their hand.
That's pretty cool. We have the same last name. Yeah, we've been struggling with that a lot recently because right now we're a team of 3, but it's getting a lot of work and we want to grow and create new projects, and that's going to need a lot more people. And we can't have people who are just going to commit to one issue. We need people who will be committed and who will work and will help us. And we've been trying to thinking of ways that we can get people involved. And we were thinking being able to be references for youth is a big thing. Like I'm lucky enough to like have a few references, but I know there's people out there like who are like, oh my gosh, I'm applying for this job. Who am I going to get to reference me? Like I want a great reference. So if you're able to give me a reference from an MLA or something for a job, that would look amazing. Or getting them school credits is really big because like it's another step to their graduation and another educated Northwest Territory youth, and paying them. You have to start paying. We have to pay. I finally figured out that I'm not going to work for free anymore. So that's another big thing. And not just like $50 gift cards, like good payments. Like I want to order some clothes. It's another big thing. And just like showing your commitment to helping us is a big thing. Because I find like even having some people support us, and then slowly their support starts to fade away. And then it's just like, oh, so what was that? But like showing like, okay, like, oh, you need a laptop, like here, let's help you get that laptop. Let's help you get these resources you need to grow your project or be a part of this panel or be a part of this, I don't know, committee. And connecting them with people who will benefit them in their future. I find that that's really cool. I get to connect with a lot of really interesting people from all around Canada and all around the world. And I know that those connections are going to help me in my future and with what I want to do. And being able to be like, oh, like, this is Mataya, she's from Inuvik, and this is, I don't know, some really cool person, like, you guys should talk, and then starting those discussions between people or between youth and elder, youth and youth, and just, yeah, being there.
I think being able to keep reminding us that these opportunities can actually help us grow, because I think one of the main reasons students have a hard time in school to be motivated in school is they think, well, how is this going to help me in like 5-10 years? How is this like math formula going to help me get anywhere? So I think keeping like kind of like reward system, I think that's like the proper term for it. Rewarding them in ways that can help them properly grow. Yeah, I don't know how else to explain this.
Yeah, really good and really important question, Queen. I know you've been saying that to every question, but yeah, it's so important. It's something that I think about a lot and something that we've been talking about through WAYC. Like I've been in, I guess, a lot of youth spaces for the past 7 years. I know a lot of people here through the spaces I've been in. I've been doing Speak Gwich'in for 6 years, and I started when I was like 20. And then doing youth spaces since I was like 18, 19. And yeah, it's always been a struggle. I'm still struggling with reaching out for help, getting support. And then doing Speak Gwich'in myself for 6 years, really hard, burnout, but now I'm still doing it. I love it. And it's really hard to ask for help, know who to turn to. And then I really had to learn how to take care of myself. My mental health, how to communicate with my loved ones if I'm struggling or might need help, and through doing that and not turning to substances for my emotions has really helped. And just learning how to do that, like doing my own research, and then through the talks yesterday with like Annie who sent me with Ula Kut. She's in her early 20s, and she started a whole mental health initiative online where she shares reasons to stay alive every day, addressing the mental health, the crisis in Nunavut, and how she struggles. She's starting out, she doesn't know where to get help, how to get support. And as these young youth are just starting out too, looking at the youth that are starting out, I was like, that's me, that was me, that's still me. And I was like, I can reach out to youth that are starting out as well, because I've been in these spaces for so long, and remind these youth that it's okay to get frustrated and feel alone in the struggle. And I learned about small acts of kindness and non-demanding support in this suicide prevention seminar I'm doing through the Arctic Council. And then small acts of kindness, like sending someone a gift bag if they're grieving, sending someone a letter if you know they're struggling, and then stopping by someone's house to give them coffee. And if you're shy, like me, people don't think I'm shy, but I am. Going to someone's house and calling them and even going up to them in person is really hard for me. So thinking about small little ways to support each other is so important, and really having space where youth councils can gather and chat and talk about our struggles and how we feel alone, and that we might feel like we're not as alone as we feel. And of course, paying youth, giving us resources to do this work. And yeah, I've been working for like 9.5 years, and I'm finally at this level where I'm working with youth and community and language and culture. And so things don't come easy sometimes. It's always good to keep going on and just talk with each other and love each other.
Okay. I just thought about this, but these programs, like, I was never really interested in leadership things until I went to Students on Ice, and I figured out, like, wow, like, I'm in love with this stuff. So, like, setting up these programs for youth to get together and talk about problems and like addressing these problems could like light a fire underneath them. And some of them might not be interested after, like, if you have a conference and you bring together 20 youth from all over the territory and only 8 of them like want to keep going, that's okay. That's 8 more youth. You just hold a few more conferences, and there you go. You got a bunch of youth who are committed and want to be involved. And that's something like I think about a lot, just like having these programs for youth to like try new things and interact in a way that maybe they don't at home, and like see our territory different, like, and not just like bringing you together, but bringing like this. Like, I really like this because I feel like I'm being heard today, and like I feel like what I'm saying really matters today. And having this opportunity for more youth to talk like this, or and talk to our leaders and say, like, this is what we need, like, you have to listen to us now, like you're sitting over there. Like, it's really good.
Awesome, thank you so much. I think working with youth and managing the Youth Ambassador Program, there's so many tangible things that you guys have said here that will just help us develop our programs be so much better. So thank you.
So I'm hoping I can put all because my mind is really racing. I'm just, so impressed with what's happening up here. And I agree, Mataya, like this kind of a forum is what we need to be doing. And I'll just echo what Grand Chief Kenny said, is it's so amazing to see the genuine connection and kindness that's up here. And I think that's what we're missing. And like everyone's voice is being heard, and that really makes me happy. And I'm also sitting here thinking I've been involved with the education system for 10 years. I taught Jacey when she was in school, and I didn't have the opportunity to teach these 2 lovely ladies, but was part of the school system. And being a counselor, everything you said I agree with. And although I've developed relationships with students where counseling does work for them, and that's been wonderful. You know, it makes me think like, and like other people have said, it's not going to change just overnight, but you are in the school system, which is a big part of your life. What is something you think the school can do differently that could make going to school more relevant and more supportive to what you're needing?
When I was in elementary school, there was an art therapist, Patricia McCauley, and I went to her for like, I don't know, a long time, like years, and I always felt better after that. To have that kind of counseling where I need to do something with my hands when I'm just sitting there, like I can't just talk and stuff. It's kind of weird to me. That, and then also bringing culture into it, like having, I would like to say, have a tent outside with elders in it where youth could go sit out there and like if they need to leave class, have that. Because I'm sorry, but I don't think I could go to a school counselor and tell them how I feel. I just don't feel comfortable doing that because I see them every day in my life. But with elders, I personally, like, I'll tell them anything. Elders are just so sweet and so nice, and I feel so comfortable with them. And taking that counseling out of our school, like out of the building even, is just, it makes a difference. It just feels like less constricted and less rules for a lot of people, including myself. And having that option to like being able to be like, I just need a break. Like I just need like 20 minutes to myself in a tent. I just need to go sit and have tea with an elder. Can I just go do that? Or like not even having to ask for permission, just being like, I need this, like I'm going, and having that resource there. And then also trying out different types of counseling and how they work with people, and like getting more like stress balls in the classes, more fidgets in the classes, allowing people to do things in classes like that, and that aren't like, people always look at them as distractions. Like for a lot of people, like they need that. Like I like to, like I do a lot of things with my hands. Like I'll flip my pen around in my fingers, and sometimes I get in trouble for that. But like that's my fidget. Like I just helps me concentrate, and just allowing that more in the class, and even even just like being able to go to your teacher and just be like, I've just had a really bad week. I can't today. Like I just need to go sit in a room by myself and just like think, or like I just need to go talk to my favorite teacher. I just need to sit in this class and put my headphones on and just listen to music. And it doesn't mean to disrespect the teacher and like what they're teaching or anything, but sometimes sometimes I'm just so drained from the week I've had, and I just can't focus on schoolwork, and I just need time to myself, and school takes up our whole day. So it's not like we get an hour and a half at lunch, like, and most of that's like rushing home, making food, eating as fast as you can, getting 15 minutes to sit down and relax, and then heading back to school. And for me, like I would come home after school and I would have to get a chore done. And so it's not like I don't get a break right after school. And then after that, I usually go to work. It's like school is like such a big part of our life. It needs to be a lot more accommodating to us as youth. And I just find that there's just a lot that's like kind of wrong with our school, like with all schools basically. And I think that making it more accommodating to mental health and the resources people need within the school is really important.
Yeah, I think just being able to give extra time for students and have patience with them, because we're still just kids, we're still growing people. We're still learning a lot of things that you don't learn in school. We just need more time to be able to grow as a person and spend time with ourselves and stuff.
I can only really talk from like a post-secondary perspective and talk about some strategies we're taking with WAYC, just some basic things. So basic for me that I know about education, different learning styles. I could reflect a little bit about my early years in school, like for post-secondary and what we're doing here with WAYC. We've been buying little fidget toys, and it's just little pipe cleaners. It's soft, you can move it around. we encourage our participants to use a fidget toy and even bead or sew or do embroidery when we do programming and facilitating, because that is a way people retain and learn and hold information more. I feel like it probably is still true in the elementary school and high school and such, like moving around is prohibited. And I feel like if someone might have like learning disabilities, they may not be properly accommodated. And of course, with other things such as like ADHD, being accommodated to have fidget toys and being able to get up and walk around. People might have special needs and assistance, and really accommodating that. When we do programming, we say, okay, get up, stretch, and have stretching breaks and things like that. And then in university and college, having the Indigenous Center to go to and hang out with elders and bead has been really amazing. And one thing that came to mind when Mataya was speaking was the wellness camp in Yellowknife, but it's like right behind the complex, and it's a healing camp during the day. So anyone can just go there and hang out with elders, have tea, sit in a canvas tent. And I think that's a really amazing idea, and to have those resources, have elders in the schools, more cultural accommodations. But then again, a lot of youth also don't resonate with youth, don't resonate with culture, with language. But like, as for me, who does, that's stuff that really helped me when I was going to school. Going to school was really hard for me. I really struggled in high school, and having like beading class with Annie, Jane, Charlie, and speaking Gwich'in really helped me like get through the day. And I love those classes. It was like a really breath of fresh air for me.
Even creating like a space in our school to allow like smudging and stuff like that, like Indigenous practices, or have a kulik available for youth who just need to have that space, because like right now we don't really have a space like that. Not that I know of. Obviously, I don't think you could smudge in the school. I'm not really sure, but I don't think so. But like, even if we do have like a little tent outside that has these resources for youth to like calm down and connect to their culture and just like take a break, because school's a lot, especially when you have 4 classes a day. I'm very lucky to have 1. So I get to have a break when I'm at home, but I know like I have a lot of friends who are taking 4 classes this year, and they're really stressful classes, and they're stressed out all the time, and they need a break. And like, even like you said, standing up and walking around, like maybe don't do that first thing in the morning, it'll just piss kids off, but like allowing that to happen, to be like, okay, I just need to go for a walk. And especially right now with COVID, we don't have a break for school. It's class. And there's not really a break. But one thing the school added that I think has helped a lot is they send a snack cart around to all the classes. And I've noticed like that really helps, like, because a lot of kids I don't eat breakfast. I'm really bad. I wake up 5 minutes before I have to leave and head to school. But it changes my day when I eat food in the morning. And I think that was a really good resource the school added on.
And I think just listening to you guys speak, even for my own wellness, culture, my Gwich'in culture is the core of that, and feeling connected to other people, and not just people my age, but like youth. These kind of conversations are something really important to me, but especially elders, and then just other people in the community. And Alexis, I think you spoke about that connection and bonding, and Jacey, you spoke about that too, because that's part of our Indigenous culture, is showing kindness and love and support just in a organic way. How do you think we can continue these kind of conversations in a meaningful way and strengthen connection? Like, we have a lot of leadership and a lot of people in the audience here, but also people on screen, and how can we create more connection between each other, do you think?
Things like this, like we do have a lot of leadership here, but I feel like we could have more. We have more people listening to us, more people hearing what needs to be, that we think that needs to be done for our youth in our community. Even like going into the school and like just saying like we have Lisa Semler here, and she wants to talk to you, who's interested, and allowing them to leave class to go talk and have their voices heard, or or creating space where youth can just go and talk and say what they need to say and let it out. Because for me, this is kind of like counseling. I love talking, so I get to kind of vent and just tell it as it is.
Yeah.
What was the question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Just how we can keep strengthening our connections, with all community members, and
how we can strengthen our connections with all community members. Yeah, programming like this. And then I feel like a lot of our forms of communication is posters, social media. I feel like the different aspects of communicating to community members is really important, calling up elders if there's a program going on, posting on social media in a way that different age groups can understand the different people, and then doing it consistently, letting constant updates on social media, a rolling channel, posters. And then I know one thing in the past 5 years or so, I guess, Gwich'in Tribal Council's really been dedicated to providing more updates to membership and being more consistent on social media. And then I feel like those are really great ways to communicate in a good, fast way. I do digital language revitalization online, where I learn Gwich'in and share resources. And there's a big turnover rate with having youth involved, leadership, etc. And that's okay. As Mataya or Lexis was saying, only 8 youth stayed interested after the program. That's okay. That's 8 more youth. The 3 of us talking is amazing. And then supporting youth that are involved, that want to be involved. And it's also hard to do that as well, knowing when to reach out to a youth, when to talk to them, building connections, and just providing opportunities for youth to gather like this. I'm sure there's always opportunities, youth councils, and the question is how to keep it going, how to keep momentum. But just a lot of support and creating and supporting initiatives such as this, of WAYC with Mataya, and working with youth like Mataya and Lexis that want to do stuff. Hey, we have this funding, we'll float through WAYC, and then we will work with Mataya for what they want, kind of thing.
And then showing us the results from what we're doing is a big thing, because we could just if we don't see what comes from the work that we're doing, we could just think I guess that was pointless. But saying oh well, this talk with this leader made this change in our community, and just having those results there to show that they are making a difference, and that's going to keep them there. Okay, I am making a difference. I want to keep making differences in my community.
I think I got a pass on this one.
That's fine. Well, hi, Yanni.
Okay, I think we're just going to throw it back to Alyssa, and she's going to sort of give a little wrap up, and then we can all head out and continue this conversation as well by keeping, if there's more questions that didn't get answered today, let's try and do that. Let's do it online. We can have other in-person ones, so make sure we get the questions that you have that are outstanding. Just pop them on a sticky and throw them up there, and we'll do our best to keep answering them in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Holy. Oh. Can I speak now? Can I speak now? We're good? Scared everybody, probably. You're muted, Holly? Oh, you can't mute.
That's okay. I just really wanted to share that I am so incredibly proud of these 3 young people who have offered to speak on behalf and participate in this. I was crying a little bit. I was laughing a lot. I loved how they were supporting each other, because that's what us, I think, as young people really want to see in all levels when we think of leadership or just community participation and involvement. But yeah, my heart is really full. I'm very inspired. I think there was a lot of direct feedback that they have really echoed. And I will share, as someone who is very close to not being a youth anymore, all of what they're saying, exactly what I would have wanted. Like I agree 100% with everything that they're saying. And I just wanted to, before we wrap up, is just encourage you to participate in the World Cafe, add in more, ask some questions. We did record this. We also live streamed it on Facebook. And just to know that we hope to hold more things like this in the future, because wellness, life promotion, cultural identity, and all these aspects of what's not happening, or making it inclusive to young people, and all who they are and what they want to be and what they see for their future in their communities. It's so inspiring. It's just like, oh, my heart is so full, and I'm so proud. But I just wanted to share that we want to give a donation to Mataya and Lexis's youth group. We were under budget for this event, so we're going to give them $1,000 donation to add to their magazine. And this is things where we just want to reaffirm that we're so proud of the work that they're doing themselves. And it's just around them just sharing ideas and the power of sharing ideas and collecting together. And you only take a couple people. Jacey was involved with in the beginning of WAYC, and the other youth was Peter Greenland. And it was ideas and just sharing. And we just kept looking for programs to support us. And now we're bringing that back in such a beautiful way. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and for the questions you've had and for listening to what these young people have to say. Their perspectives are so valuable. And yeah, any other questions, feel free to reach out. Western Arctic Youth Collective is very, we're just so new, we're learning ourselves, and we're really open to just making things happening for our young people. And just for the folks who are online, thank you so much, and who listened on Facebook. I hope to see more conversations like this. Like, these are what I crave all the time. So Masicho, Kuya 90, have a good day. Thank you.